Tonight on TNT, it's the catchphrase no team wants to hear. Embarrassed by a hounding foe, the Hawks now find themselves one game away from elimination. To survive, Atlanta must play with a sense of urgency.
We have to be able to take a punch and come back. It's never over till it's over.
While Dwight Howard and the Magic's plan of attack is simple, don't change a thing. Shot for shot, point for point, the Jazz tried to hold serve against the formidable Lakers, but champions know how to finish.
The defending champions have pushed the Jazz to the brink of elimination.
Now, with season's end in the foreground, the Jazz must be the aggressor and shift the momentum.
We got our backs to the wall. We had our backs to the wall, play these guys to begin with.
The drama of the NBA playoffs continues on TNT.
Without fanfare, the Orlando Magic have won 7 consecutive playoff games this postseason. Throughout, they have embraced the true meaning of team. Tonight, should they dispose of the Atlanta Hawks, the Magic will move on to the NBA Eastern Conference Final for the 2nd consecutive season. It's Game 4, an elimination game between the Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks. It's time for the Taco Bell starting lineups. Orlando hasn't lost in over a month. The Magic have won 13 straight games. For Atlanta, Joe Johnson is shooting just 28% in this series. Hi, everyone. Matt Devin alongside the Hall of Famer Kevin McHale. Kevin, Orlando has been simply brilliant in this postseason, and they have been dominant throughout.
Yeah, they sure have, using the same formula every single game. A lot of pick and roll, going to drop the ball down to Howard, and they're going to shoot around 30 to 33s on the offensive end. On the defensive end, they're going to load the paint. The perimeter players are going to push up and drive you into the Defensive Player of the Year, Howard's extended hand. For the Hawks to solve that puzzle, they've got to increase the pace. They've got to be able to get the ball up and down the floor and move it from side to side and attack the paint with a purpose. Orlando's dominated the paint so far in the series.
Well, they certainly have. Does Joe Johnson have an all-NBA type of game in him after struggling in Game 4 on Saturday? Can Al Horford slow down Dwight Howard? Mike Woodson's contract runs out in the end of June. Is this his final game as a head coach of the Atlanta Hawks? And over the last 2 games, Jamal Crawford has come off of the bench, and he has been their one offensive weapon, and still they are down 3-0 in this series. Game 4 underway. Orlando playing for the sweep. In talking to Jameer Nelson prior to the start of this contest, he said, look, first quarter, we got to get it going in the first quarter.
No question, the first 5 minutes of the first quarter right here. The Hawks have got to show a lot of want to right now. They have not had that desire to go out there and just compete and like stand shoulder to shoulder and swing at the Orlando Magic. You see Josh Smith getting up the court late, got hit in the head.
Josh Smith still late getting up. It's knocked away. And Rashard Lewis hands it quickly off to Nelson.
The presence of Dwight Howard on the defensive end as you see Jameer go in and use the glass beautifully. A high floating layup. But on that first Hawks possession, they did exactly what we talked about. Joe Johnson drove into the teeth of the defense, and who's waiting for him? Dwight Howard.
He's really altered everything. And Joe Johnson just has struggled. 28%, and now an offensive foul on Al Horford. And this is going back to Josh Smith, one of the reasons why he didn't get back up the floor.
Yeah, took a hand from Dwight Howard in the face, and he was late getting down the floor. And Josh Smith has got to have a great energy night tonight. Shake off that little punch in the face and go out there and play basketball.
They lost Game 3 at home, 105-75. Rashard Lewis, last 2 games, he's been on fire. He continues it tonight.
Tough cover for Josh Smith, who's much more of a paint cover, wants the rebound, block shots, and Rashard Lewis has been just shooting lights out the entire playoffs.
Has now 8 made threes starting in Game 2. There's Horford with the jumper, that's good. Lewis over the last 2 averaging 21 points. Nelson, jumper, got it. He has been so tough throughout.
Yeah, and one of the reasons they're up 3-0 also. What a tough cover for Mike Bibby on Jameer Nelson. There's some tough covers out there for the Atlanta Hawks as you see Mike Woodson takes a 20-second timeout.
7-2 start for the Orlando Magic. They swept the Charlotte Bobcats, looking for a sweep here. Josh Smith still checking on that right eye. 5-point lead here early on. Josh Smith appears to be fine. Wonder if he saw Steve Nash last night, the one-eyed warrior. He was something else last night for Phoenix.
I tell you, unbelievable. He's had some tough luck as you see Barnes, who's been playing great defense the entire time they get the ball. What great defense he's been playing on Joe Johnson. Matt Barnes has been fighting him tooth and nail the whole series. But getting back to Steve Nash really quick, remember he bloodied his nose and got mangled against him. He did the eye. He looked like a hockey player from Canada last night, not a basketball player.
He certainly did. Captain Canada, 7-2. Orlando off to that quick start. Barnes on the trigger in. Here's Lewis backing down on Smith, kicks it out up top. 3 turnovers for Atlanta in 4 possessions to start the game. Not the start that they're looking for. Carter. And the shot is short. Bibby quickly ahead. Marvin Williams absent really throughout game 4. And in this series pulls up and knocks it down. He had 6 points, 2 rebounds in game number 3.
They need Marvin to show up and show up big tonight at home if the Hawks want to extend this series.
Averaging less than 8 points and less than 6 rebounds in the series. Here's Carter posting up on Bibby, and now Johnson kicks it out.
On that little screen roll, they run. You'll see the Magic run a lot of Nelson Carter screen roll. They switched that and they put Bibby on Carter. Carter's just way too big. He's going to go down the post. That's a tough switch. Like I said, this is a tough series for Mike Bibby all the way around the block, starting with the guy with the ball who's been giving him a lot of trouble, Jameer Nelson.
Well, you just talk about the matchup. Sometimes you look at Al Horford and Dwight Howard. There's Carter in the 3.
Beautiful ball movement by the Orlando Magic. We've seen that the entire series. They really make the extra pass, and they do it so willingly and so unselfishly.
Played just 23 minutes in game 3. Didn't need him to run any more minutes than that. And that one knocked out of bounds.
Here you go right now. They got a little pick and roll. He gets picked out on there, and another pass out. Bibby's in no man's land. They can't rotate. Great ball movement and wide open 3.
Taking care of some business on the court. Bill Spooner heading over. Bennett Salvatore, Derek Stafford, Bill Spooner are 3 officials. And it appears as though they have everything taken care of there deep in that corner as Joe Johnson gets set to inbound the basketball.
Joe Johnson is seeing a lot of Matt Barnes, Michael Petras, and then when he finally does make a move, he is seeing the extended arm of Dwight Howard on every possession. He can't get a clean look.
Horford on a handoff to Johnson. Barnes right there with him. Shot clock down, extended hand, and it doesn't matter. Johnson comes through with the 3.
That's a big shot for him to make that early in the game. He needs to get some confidence going. He's got to find some rhythm out here because, like I said, Barnes has really had him on lockdown.
Missed 12 of 15 on Saturday. Barnes shot no. Howard unable to rebound it, and it'll be Orlando basketball. Last touch by Bibby. It's been a frustrating series for Joe Johnson. Game 1, game 2, and then you see the numbers from game 3.
When you're shooting 28% from the field, which he is in this series, I mean, that is really, really tough sledding, boy. You can't get anything to go. And like I said, it's an attempt over. Great defense there, jump ball. But it's an attempt over Dwight Howard's hand almost on every shot. Here you go. The Hawks now, they rally to the ball. Joe gets there in time. You see Josh Smith gets a hand in there. And that's what they got to do. You got to rally to the ball. You got to rally to drives. You got to have 2 people on the ball. You just got to keep working if you're the Atlanta Hawks on the defensive end.
Controlled by Carter and the Magic. Nelson up top. Bibby checking over that shoulder. Trying to feel that screen. Pick and roll Howard. Deep post position. And right over his childhood friend Josh Smith. Deep in the post. You can't stop him.
He gets the ball right around the charge circle all the time, and he's shooting it left-hand and right-handed. He made that little lefty down there.
Smith knocks down the 2. Atlanta